Hi, I'm James P. Friel.
And I'm Dean Holland. It's time to fasten your seatbelts, boys and girls.
That's right. If you're an entrepreneur who's wanting to take your business to the next level and have a bit of fun while getting cutting-edge advice on your business, marketing, and sales, welcome to Just the Tips, arguably the best podcast in the entire world. I guess that's good, right?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. That was easy. That was the easiest thing we did all day.
Whoa, you're here with me.
Whoa.
Whoa, pattern interrupt. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Just the Tips. Your host, James P. Friel. Joining me immediately right out of the gate, the one, the only, Mr. Dean Holland. We are very excited that you guys are here with us today. We've got an incredibly special and unique show because of what we're going to talk about. And welcome to the show, everybody. What's up, Dean?
Well, that's it. I'm thrown off now for at least the next few hours. Life's not gonna feel quite the same now. I
know. I know exactly. And I'm like literally just like I'm in my new office, kind of getting everything set up. So it might sound a little bit hollow, but I haven't gotten the fanfare back yet. So between not having the fanfare, you just popping in here as soon as we started the show. It's like, what the heck is going on these days?
Yeah, what is this anymore? What is this?
We don't even know. I don't even know.
But that aside, I'm doing awesome though. How are you, my friend?
Great. It's an honor to speak with the artificial jellyfish king of the UK.
Yes. So 12,000 of those since last week.
Yeah. I'm sure the rapid buying that John Lee Dumas had while we were on the show together, he's like, I need one of those.
One of the trending products on Amazon right now for 7 days straight.
Yeah, that's right. That's amazing, dude. So funny. So we've got a unique thing that we're going to be talking about today.
Yes, we do. We do. For I suppose a unique reason. In many ways.
A very unique reason. So today we're talking about taking the importance of taking strategic breaks. And we've had conversations about taking breaks, taking vacations and stuff like that before. However, today we're talking about the fact that we're going to be taking a strategic break from Just the Tips.
What? Yeah, we finally decided we really don't like each other.
Yeah.
After all these years, we just have to take a break from this.
Yeah, for 4.5 years in, was like, you know what? I never did like that guy. What the hell have I been doing?
Indeed, but as much as we joke, that is exactly what we've kind of had to think about and decided that we are going to be taking, like you say, that strategic break from actually the show. It has been, like you say, I think we've done this every week. Yes, of sure. There's been the occasional, maybe like handful of weeks in amongst that where we were on vacation or something and we had to re-air, one of our popular shows from in the past. But other than that, largely we've done this every week for many, many years now without actually taking a break ourselves. And we've got, we've obviously, I don't know how much of this we're going to get into or how much you want to dissect down the strategic break and the reasoning for it. But it's certainly something that we haven't just decided, oh, you know what, we want to just have a pause. We can't be bothered. This is something that we've just actually sat back and decided, we're going to take, like you say, a strategic break and just figure a few things out in terms of the direction moving forwards.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I mean, when you think about it, we've been, like you said, with the exception of, a few times here or there, since May of 2017.
Jeez.
Yeah. I feel tired just even saying that.
I've aged.
Yeah. No, I just felt more grays come in my beard as soon as I said that. Probably since May of 2017, we have done this show every single week. And the thing about consistency is that it's amazing for producing results, right? Yes. We've gotten, hundreds of thousands of listeners at this point. We appreciate all of you guys. We started the show where we joked we had one listener. and it's grown since then. I'm not even really convinced we actually even had one listener at the beginning of the
Right. Yes. Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was me and you, and so like
I think I used to tune in on my mobile phone whilst hosting on the desktop. It was me. It was all me.
yeah, that's right. And so the thing about consistency is that it really helps to produce great results. And the risk, though, is sometimes you don't take a step back to make sure that everything is still aligned with the bigger reason for doing things.
Yes.
And so, I'm more than happy to get into the conversation today that you and I have been having, but for us, we're taking a step back because we want to say, well, how do we want this to look if we did it for another 4 years?
Yeah.
Right? Like if we did this for another 4 years, that would be 8 years of putting up with your bullshit. Which
I could have accidentally murdered you and got a lighter sentence.
That's right. You could be almost getting parole at this point.
Damn, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's important, not just for the context of this show and what we're talking about here today, but I think it's important for everybody to really take a hard, honest look at where are we going with things to make sure that everything you're doing is not just based on the decisions that you made in the past and what you thought was going to be amazing, but it's also supporting the future vision of where you want to go now, right? Because we're not static in our lives, right? Things are constantly changing. You're up leveling. You're changing your goals. You're changing your ambitions. Your things that fulfill you will change over time. And if you just keep doing the same things over and over and over without taking a step back to evaluate whether those things are in service to who you are now, who you're becoming, where you're going, then I think you run the risk of doing things that may not be inspiring anymore, or may not necessarily help you get to where you want to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the story just around this, because I think actually, as much as this is kind of us announcing that, we're taking this strategic break, I hope there's actually going to be, like there already is in what you're saying there, James, but I hope for everybody, not only to be interested into, why are we making this decision, but I think there's some key lessons in this for everybody that's running a business. It is notoriously not easy. It can be very challenging and tough. And a lot of times the way in which we deal with those things is to double down, work harder, get our head down. And obviously, James, a lot of your business fights against that perspective in business, but the reality is that, there is this, sorry, I'll go back to this analogy. So I heard this story once. Somebody explained this story that if you were to say if you were going to fly from the UK to New York, London to New York, you are depending on the technology and the people that are guiding that vehicle to be on track, to know where they're going. Now, if it wasn't for technology, this story, this outline that I saw, it was like the nose of that plane could be off by a fraction of a degree. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, for hours and hours and hours on that flight, it wouldn't really become evident until all of a sudden you're no longer in New York, you're in a completely different state. And all it took was being off a fraction of a degree. And I think that's that to me is sometimes how I look at things in business. It's that if we just keep going without ever pausing to assess and look at where we've gone or what's happening, you can be veering off track and not even know that you're kind of further away or far away from where you actually intended. And I think there's a lot in this, in the way in which, or at least from my perspective, when we started this show, James, we've told it all the time, we wanted to have fun. This was not done as a business decision as such. Most people, when they're going to do something like this, they have their full intention. They've already recorded the promotional slots that are going to be slotted into the show. They've got a pitch at the beginning, a pitch at the end. And the whole purpose of it is I want to gain listeners so that I can sell more of my thing. Mm-hmm. And you can understand that, right? That's sensible business. Well, we went against that convention. We actually just said, like, hey, let's do a fun show and have a good laugh while we're doing it. And that's what we've done for years and years. But like you say, James, it's very, very true that as time goes on, not a lot changes in a week typically, but a lot can change in a year, 2 years. I mean, if anything, this last 18 months has taught every person walking the planet that fact,
Totally.
right? So, whilst we started it with that intention, and that's something we've absolutely loved and still do to this day, the reality is that, we've kind of made that assessment that I don't think actually the way in which we're still doing this all these years later, I don't think this is something isn't quite right in its current way. We've got all the fun, we've got all these things, but there is a lot that goes into this show. Make no mistake. I mean, obviously, from the viewer's perspective here, it might look like, oh, we turn up, we don't have this script, we don't have all our questions mapped out, so it seems quite straightforward. But there is a lot of investment that goes into this, not just from our time, but other people's time. There's many people behind the scenes, and I think we've just had this reflection, haven't we? That like you say, if we did this again for another 4 years, 10 years, what's the view? What's the vision? What's the purpose now? Is it still just we want to just have fun? And if that's the case, okay, maybe we're not doing it in the right way. This is the conversations we've had, isn't it? If that's the purpose, maybe it's not in the quite the right way. But if we want to do it in a slightly different way, changes will have to be made. And that's ultimately what to do. We still want to have fun. We still want to bring some of the most amazing guests and deliver some amazingly valuable content. But I think it's just that time for us to strategically step back and have a pause and say, are we on that right flight path for the purpose here?
Right. Absolutely. And, when you're talking about, all the people behind the scenes for the show, like, I'm thinking about Doug and his 17 brothers who help us.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Doug,
they do an
Don.
hour each every day. We've got a 24/7 operation practically. Just
the sun never sets on Just the Tip, thanks to Doug and his brothers. They all they run through shifts to keep us fully supported and everything. But yeah, I think that's the thing here, you guys, is every decision that you make, and this is us being incredibly transparent in the hopes that there's a lesson here for you too, right? If your decisions are not lined up with some bigger purpose, some reason for being, then it's okay. And it makes sense for you to take a step back and say, all right, what's really important now? Where do we really want to go now? And a lot of, I've mentioned this a few times in various client calls that I've had in the last week or so, but I think a lot of times people think that growth in business comes from just adding things.
Right.
Like, all right, we got to add this and we got to add this and we got to add this. In many cases, growth will also come from subtracting things, right? And saying, all right, well, what don't we need to do? What can we stop doing? And the thing is, like, every time you add something, it takes more time, it takes more resource, it takes more energy. Anytime you subtract something, it gives back time, it gives back energy. And in many cases, it gives back resource. And so, what our intention here for the show is to say, all right, well, what do we want the show to be over the next period of time? And being able to step out of, sort of the weekly production of this for a short period of time gives us the space to really evaluate that and sort of like kind of settle in and say, okay, well, I want to really figure this out and think big picture. But in your own business, taking a strategic break from whatever, that you've been just like grinding away at for a period of time. It's my experience that on the back of those strategic breaks comes some significant breakthroughs. Because you're able to like put the day-to-day off to the side for a minute and say, well, how else could we be doing this? I'll give you guys a great example. So Yada, who we've had on the show numerous times, and you guys know, is, not only my significant other, but also she and I decided, January this year, we were going to start a new line of business together where we're doing marketing agency, and it's taken off like wildfire. We've got tons of people, coming into our world and all these other things, but without, kind of taking a step back and looking at things, we were doing things a certain way. And we were saying, okay, we're going to, we've built numerous marketing funnels and all this other stuff. And we said, all right, well, what would it look like if, it didn't take so long to build a funnel? What if it, didn't take weeks? It took days. And, we've been innovating on our methods to figure out how to compress time and move things into a period of days where we go from idea to launching a funnel as opposed to weeks, which is, typical and normal. But we wouldn't have arrived at that if we didn't decide to hey, let's take a step back and really evaluate, how are things working the way that they are and how could we be doing them differently? If you just continue to do things the same way that you've always been doing them, you're going to get similar results that you've always gotten. And growth comes from change, and change is difficult to make when you're constantly just in the throes of daily operations. And so, I think we're practicing what we preach here, not just in terms of the show, but in our respective businesses. And I want to use this as an opportunity to encourage you guys who are listening to say, all right, well, what if we did things differently? What if we took a strategic break from something that we've been doing for a long time and reevaluated, is there a different way for us to achieve the objective that might look nothing like what we're doing right now?
Yeah, definitely. And I do think this is a long, hard lesson for me, actually. I actually made this mistake in my company. Fixed it, I guess, about 18 months ago or so. Well, a bit before, 3 years ago. So maybe 5 years ago, things weren't quite going as well as I wanted in the business. I had a lot going on in my personal life as well. And, I was making a lot of mistakes, but I wasn't aware that I was making what the mistakes were. I knew business wasn't looking good. I knew things were, not growing. They were going in the wrong direction. But because I was operating in a sense of from a place of panic and worry, oh my God, I don't know what's going wrong. Do more of this or do more of this, change that, put that pricing up there. Oh, if this isn't selling as well, double the price. And that way we'll still be okay. It was just making all these panicked, rush decisions to try and fix a problem that I wasn't aware of where it was coming from. It was like seeing a leak, but not knowing where the hole is. And, I actually reached a point where I was like, oh my gosh, this is all going to go permanently wrong, in this company. And I actually took, it was actually my honeymoon I was going on. This was it. So I was going on my honeymoon from having gotten married. It was a bit after our wedding, right? Because my wife fractured her ankle on the wedding day, as you know, James.
And danced on it all night long.
Indeed she did. But anyway, so I kind of, there was a part of me that was thinking, I don't know if I should be going on this honeymoon. I'm supposed to be I need to fix whatever's going wrong here. But obviously, there was no way I was going to cancel my honeymoon and deliver that news to the new wife. So I went away, and it was only 7 days. And it was the first time I'd actually stepped away from the business in about 3 years, maybe slightly more. Literally, no vacations. The only time I traveled was for work, for masterminds, things like this. And after about 5 days, I was sitting there. I'll never forget it. I'm sitting there. I've been reading books. I haven't took my laptop. I've not been doing any work, but I'm just sitting by the pool, reading a couple of books over the time. And on about day 5, I got this notepad, and I wrote on it how to fix the business. And I still have it to this day. It's still a notepad. It's either at home or in the office here. But I've got this one page, and I literally wrote down, multiple steps that I need to come home and do. I came home and did them. And literally, the one where people say, oh, I turned everything around overnight. It literally was like turning it around overnight, and the business just fixed. It was, I don't think if I'd have ever took that break and stepped away and gave myself time to actually just stop the day-to-day craziness, I don't think I'd have ever seen that. And who knows, maybe the business wouldn't even be here. I don't know. But certainly that was the key. And I just think, again, we're sharing all this along with the fact that we're taking the break, because I bet there's so many people listening to this of all different stages that, particularly over the last 12 to 18 months, may well find yourself in a stage where you've just kept doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just feel like that's the automatic gear is you just keep doing what you've always done. And maybe things are going good, maybe things are going bad. But I think no matter what they're doing, everybody has to take these strategic breaks and step backs from the business, to be able to step away, give your brain the time to see things clearer. And like you've said, James, I absolutely, agree with you that it's in those moments that oftentimes some of the biggest and greatest breakthroughs will occur, because you just have a very different perspective. You give yourself the space.
Absolutely. And, so, I've got one sort of example of that coming up here in, a few days.
Yes.
Right. So, I've been really fortunate to be able to go on a trip to Lake Powell for the last several years at the end of the summer. And for those of you guys who don't know about Lake Powell, it's imagine if they flooded the Grand Canyon, right? If the Grand Canyon was dammed up and all the water just came up. And so it's this lake in Arizona and Utah that has tremendous amount of coastline, like more coastline than the state of California. And you get out there on, you go out on these houseboats, and we'll be out there for 2 weeks, and there's no cell service.
Nice.
Right. There's absolutely no service whatsoever. And it's one of the best resets for me possible.
Well, I'm curious, is there any, do you have, or anyone that you go with, if you've ever spoke about it there, is there an anxiety about putting yourself in that situation? Because I'll be honest, like, when I talk about taking a break, I know I still have, I can go to the, at worst, there's like an internet cafe in the hotel or something, I can just hop in there. I know that I'm still connected, but from what it sounds like, you're putting yourself in what many would deem like an extreme scenario of unplugging.
Yeah.
I'm curious for anyone else that might be thinking, oh, I'd love to do something like, is there an anxiety though attached to it with you?
I think there historically, like, probably the first time or the first or second time that I did it, it was really freaky.
Right.
It was like, oh my God, I'm not going to have contact with anybody for a week or 2 weeks or something like that. And, what it's been more recently, though, I'd say the last 2 years, is it's an opportunity to like get everything to a really good place. And, I have a very capable team. Let my team handle things without me. And I just let everybody know, hey, like, if you need me, like, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Yeah. And you're not going to hear from me for 2 weeks. Like, it doesn't matter how hard you try. The only way that you're going to hear from me is if you charter a helicopter and you manage to find me on this giant lake in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert. And even then, like, your odds are not very good to locate me. And there's, I think more than anything, especially this time around, the last, year, I think, has been, very up and down and challenging. The last 2 years, really, for everybody. But for me now, it's like, okay, I have my list of all the things I want to get done before I go. And I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited to just shut off.
Right.
I think we spend, as entrepreneurs, we spend so much time thinking about our business and thinking about what we're going to do next and all these different things that, and it's fun. It's exhilarating. I wouldn't trade that for anything, but we need a break. You need a break. Like, we're human. And, and I'm looking forward to, day 3 of this trip when I don't even know where my phone is.
Right. Yes.
Right. And like, I haven't looked at a screen for 72 hours, and I'm sitting there, floating in the water, with a White Claw in my hand, and I don't even know what's going on in the outside world.
I don't think you know anything what's going on if you stood there with a White Claw in your hand.
No, exactly. And so I feel very very blessed to be going on this trip and be going with so many great friends and things like that. But it's incredible every single time after this trip. Like, I have come back with a swell of energy and passion and excitement and next level thinking that invariably changes something significant to kind of take things to the next level. And so it's got the advantage of helping you reset, but also the advantage of like, all right, well, I don't know what changes will happen after this, but I know there will be some, because it changes you to have that kind of space, to have that kind of opportunity to think and disconnect and everything. And and we've talked about this numerous times over the last couple of years on the show, the importance of taking breaks, but I think being strategic about it is like the whole point of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. I find I was just laughing when you said it after day 3. I always find I'm about 4 or 5 days before I always need a little longer than a week whenever I go away, because it's only those last couple of days where I've really like, I forgot that I was I forgot about that I had a business. Usually takes about 5 days.
Well, and I think I'm a little bit more ready this time because we moved this year. We've moved. Business has grown significantly this year, and there's been all these different, challenges and things that come along with everything. But we were supposed to go to Hawaii 2 weeks ago.
Yes, indeed.
But I got COVID, and we didn't wind up going. So I was like, oh my God, like I'd been so looking forward to that trip. Yeah. And and normally over the summer we're doing all these different trips and everything, and like there's been no trips this year. So I'm craving this break, and I think more than even usual.
Yes, as is probably every single person listening. I think we can all agree. I am certainly one. Cannot wait to leave this rock for which I have been formed to for the last 2 years.
Yeah, you're almost getting moss on you. If I, or maybe that's just your lighting or whatever. But I'm like, I feel like you're not moving, and so there's just vines and moss and ivy.
I'm like
and
hunched over. I'm like using a stick to get around.
Dean, what's happened? It's only been 3 weeks.
Oh man.
So serious question. What will the Noble Steed be doing during this strategic break?
Ooh, I haven't even told the Noble Steed yet, to be honest. This is quite a sensitive situation. I was kind of going to do this at the last minute, but
well, I was wondering if that's why you just appeared on the show today with me.
We fell out.
You had a falling out with the Noble Steed. He's like, you know what? The hell with you. I'm going to go like bring somebody else in their podcast who gives a shit.
I know. Do you know how many other offers I get to carry people into their show? Sitting around with your short ass.
Right. The Noble Steed actually has an agent who fields all those offers.
Oh, it's amazing. But no, I got to say, it does feel a bit strange. I will say. I don't know if it's the same with you. I mean, it's good. You're obviously going to be going on vacation there, but I was, on the odd occasion where we haven't actually hosted the show live for whatever the various reason, it always feels strange because it is so ingrained into the routine now. It is this show is a habit that we host. I know, because it's we do this show at the time we do it. I'm in the office till like 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. And it's definitely going to feel like there's this weird hole. Like, I don't know what I'm going to be doing with myself. I'm probably have to find a new friend because I don't want to spend more time with my wife. That'd be crazy.
Well, I think it's more that she doesn't want to spend more time with you. If we're honest
I know,
about
Tuesday evenings was her favorite night of the week.
She lives for Tuesday. And she's going to be like, maybe you should get out of the house.
Yes, indeed. But no, I got to say, it will feel a bit strange. But that aside, I'm for all the benefits and all the reasons that we've just said, I'm actually very much looking forward to seeing what comes of the break.
Mm-hmm.
To actually see, because I think, we have got in a flow. And I think, for anyone that's listened to the show, for a long time now, you will notice we've gone through several different phases of how we've done this show. It started out just it was a 30-minute pre-recorded show at one stage, wasn't it? When we first did it, and we did that, every week. And that, over years has now become this hour-long show that we also, have live broadcasts and on video and all kinds of things. So the transformation's been pretty awesome. But I am looking forward to kind of us both being able to step away and bring the ideas together. It'd be interesting to see, because obviously we're both going to independently be kind of taking a break and then being able to bring that back together, and interestingly, just so the listeners know, because I'm sure some people will be thinking, does this mean that we're never going to see you again? Obviously, we're taking a strategic break to make those decisions on where is it going? What is the future? But one of the things that James and you and I both said to each other, isn't it? We obviously have this, both of us have this time blocked out on our calendars and have done for the last 4+ years. So we're actually not taking a complete break. It's not like, we're having 6 weeks off and we're never going to speak to each other again. We've actually going to continue to block this out on our calendar. And we have actually agreed that, we're going to come together in that time still, as if we're still doing the show live, just purely to talk about the future and direction of the show. So this is very much something that we are continuing to pour energy into, and, something that we want to, make sure has, a future and hopefully in a positive direction for everything that we want from it.
Yeah. I think, I think the biggest idea that we've come up with so far is rebranding the show to just the artificial jellyfish.
Yes, just the fish.
See, this is why we need a strategic break, because the ideas have gotten so bad and we can't even take them seriously ourselves.
Very much. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I for one, because I haven't poured too much. I've literally been waiting largely for the break. I've had a bit of a think about things, but yeah, I'm going to be. It's going to be interesting. I think at bare minimum, it'd be interesting to share all of our thoughts of the future when they happen with all the listeners. Next time we're together.
Yeah, and if your noble steed gets gobbled up by somebody else during the break, you might be walking into the studio. Like it could be an entirely new setup.
I just see you on videos in Lake Powell riding a steed on the way to the boat.
That's right. Yeah, just so you know, the highest and best offer that the noble steed has right now is from me. And the truth is, like, I don't even need the strategic break. I'm just sick and tired of you riding into the studio like, the pretentious ass that you are. And I'm just like here sitting in a chair. I'm like, it just seems very lopsided.
Well, wait till you see season 2, because there's going to be a crown, there's going to be a robe. It's going to get a lot more official next
Frankly,
season.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened before today. Yeah,
it will happen. It will happen.
No doubt.
Something I would say for the listeners, especially if you, for the millions of people around the world that religiously have insisted that they don't spend time with their children because they have to listen to this show.
Right. Especially those in Zhangzhou.
Particularly. The great thing is obviously every single show that we've done from the very beginning is all on our website. It's justthetipsshow.com.
Yep.
So you can actually go there and you can actually go through the whole archive. We've actually done some shows even more recently where we've kind of gone over some of the best shows or some of the top rated shows or things like this. So there's plenty of great content. You don't have to miss us during our strategic break. You can still tune in every week if you like.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And that's one of the other questions on our mind is like, we've got hundreds of hours of really great guest interviews, really great content, like all that. Like, what are we doing with it?
Yeah.
I feel like we're not doing enough with what we've created already, and we really want to make it more valuable and useful to to our own businesses and to everybody who's listening and all of that. So there's a lot of dialogue going on around that as well. But yeah, so I don't really know if I've got a whole lot more to say about this, Dean.
Yeah, no, I think, I think we've definitely, we've shared the news. The announcement is out there. Just the Tips show is taking a strategic break. So you'll have to just obviously keep checking back for further updates, in the weeks and beyond ahead. And we've given some tips and, advice as to why. And I hope that, people really have taken that on board. This wasn't just an announcement about us. This was really being able to share the reasoning behind it and why that is, quite probably one of the most valuable things that you as the leader of your business can ever do is to step back, assess, and make sure that you're going in the right direction for where you want it to be going in. So yeah, I really don't think there's any more to say on that. I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of tears being shed through the listeners today. Make sure you dry those tears.
That's right.
But yeah, we'll be back in a bigger and better way. It'll just be interesting to share. That's what I'm looking forward to do.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Mr. Dean Holland, for being here. Thank you for the first 4.5 years and 209 episodes.
And thank you, Mr. James P. Friel.
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely been fun, and I look forward to the break, and I look forward to returning from the break. And so we appreciate you guys, our listeners. Like Dean said, feel free to go through the back catalog, justtipsshow.com, and we will see you guys on the other side. This is James P. Friel signing off with my co-host, Mr. Dean Holland, and we will talk with you guys later. See you, everybody.
Oof.
Thanks for tuning in to Just the Tips, where we believe business should be profitable and fun. For show notes, links, and other information on our guests, visit justthetipsshow.com. For more information on how to connect with Dean Holland, visit deanholland.com. And if you'd like to go from being a hustling entrepreneur to an effective CEO, capable of running your company without being stuck in the day-to-day, visit me for free training and resources at jamespfriel.com. Our theme music is Happy Happy Game Show by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license.